Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Progression Fantasy Podcast. My name is Joel. I'm your host, and today we are talking Monster Tamer Academy. So, I was really excited about this one. And to help me with that, I have a amazing group of guests here. So let me introduce them. To my left, in the top right corner, we have Matt Herrmann. He's the author of said books, along with Robert Weinman, who's not here today, but that's fine. And then on the bottom two, both of them, we have the narrators for the series, Marissa. How do you pronounce that?
Parness.
Parness and Alex Perone.
That's right.
Awesome. Nailed it. So, yeah, let's dive into this. So to kick us off, Matt, would you like to do a summary for the series or the book?
Sure.
Anything?
Yeah, so Monster Tamer Academy, it's basically about a young boy named Dirk, and he's all his life he's been trying to get into this Monster Tamer Academy so that he can bond with a monster, which unlocks his magic abilities called Affinity. And tamers need this affinity to be able to get strong enough to tame wild monsters that come from the wilds. So there's these just hordes of wild monsters, and they threaten civilization. Basically, the Tamer Academy makes sure that humanity survives.
Nice. Solid. All right. So one thing that I did want to start off with is just my thoughts on the series. And honestly, I slept on this series for way too long. Like, I don't know why. It's probably because there's like a lot of like Magic Academy series in the progression fantasy genre, and like you read one, you kind of know like what happens, and it was kind of took me a minute to like be like, nope, this is like its own thing. You just need to try it out, and you're gonna love it. Just do it. So I finally got around to it, and I will say I loved it. It was phenomenal. It was very unique and definitely definitely worth a read. So definitely go check it out. And yeah, so why don't we jump into why don't we just talk about what was unique about it? Because so a lot of things. There was the world building was phenomenal. It was so they have this the Keystone, which is where they unlock all their like tamer new tamers. They get this affinity, their affinities from the Keystone, and the monsters they have like if they're tamed, then they get like it doesn't absorb all the energy, so the Keystone can like keep on living. So the goal is to really like tame as many monsters in like the surrounding area as possible, so you can have more tamers and the world can like be prosperous. Meanwhile, there's this like other faction of like dominators who just want to kill monsters and subjugate them, and they're like the big bads basically. And so it's very much a balancing act of as far as like world building goes, and that was a very unique aspect. Also, The primal language was another unique aspect that I really enjoyed. There was basically the main character Dirk's ability. Is this so? Uh, is this like an innate ability, or is this like something he unlocked, uh, like when visiting the uh, Keystone or
So
Matt
it's
West?
kind of explained in as the series goes on. I don't want to like spoil anything for anyone who hasn't read it yet.
That's fair.
But yeah, it's intentionally a little mysterious in book one how he's got this ability. But he appears to be one of the only ones, possibly the only one who can use that ability.
Yeah. Well, I knew it was like unique to him, but I wasn't sure if like other people had their own unique abilities or not.
So in general, no, that's
Okay.
it's possibly back in the day when there were these ancients around, but as of right now, it's
Yeah. Uh, very cool. Very cool. So that being said, like there was a lot of things I liked. There was some stuff that I wasn't as thrilled about. Me personally, I am not a big fan of like the mystery aspect and suspense. I that's just like a personal take. I very much just want like all the information right there. I want to know who I can trust. I don't want to like be mistrusting of characters. Then I'm not going to connect with them. Then I'm like, that asshole. I don't like him. You know, when it's like, oh, he's really cool and has really awesome abilities. Why are you making me not like him, Matt? So, uh, yeah, that was just my personal take. Like, let me know in the comments whether you like mystery aspects or not. Um, if you
So
do,
I'll
you'll
say
probably
I'll
love
say
this
that
series. So,
one of my favorite things about this series in particular
mhm,
is really how I'll say to Marissa all the time in the booth when we're doing this one, I'm like, man, this one is it's thoughtful. You can tell that there's thought behind certain
sorry.
choices, and we don't always get that in a lot of the books that we read. And like the mystery aspect specifically um is one that I tend to really like as a reader,
Mhm.
and as a narrator it's at times can be a real gift, when I know that it's in the hands of a good author, which this very much is. So like it's nice to know that the payoffs will come, and that the explanations will make sense, because I trust the writers.
And also, and I don't know if this applies here, but I love the character Dirk, and I like the fact that people misunderstand or judge him at first, and then he always kind of shows up, and it often will make a bad character into a good character because he is such a trusted person,
Mm,
Mhm.
for what it's worth.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
yeah, I guess I could speak a little bit about Dirk and like my intention in creating his
Yeah.
character, like his growth along the series. So like a lot of protagonists, they're typically the hot-headed, brash, like charge headfirst into battle, regardless of if it's smart or stupid. They're just there to be like the action of the story. And I wanted Dirk to be a little bit more. His friends certainly temper him. Like you have the cautious Pax, who's always trying to like keep him like maybe we should like examine the situation. Then you have Jen, who's more like super curious, adventurous. She just wants to like she wants to touch the wild monster or the she's not worried about getting her finger bit off or anything. And and then Trace, she's kind of like she kind of balances Dirk. She's like the more fiery, and she has the strength to back up uh, her words. Whereas Dirk, he's kind of And I like how Marissa was saying, like, my intention, especially as he grows throughout the series, he elevates everyone around him, whether that's his immediate friends or his like a rival or a bully or even the antagonists of each book. Like I try to write him so that he kind of just has like these moments of he's almost philosophical at times, and he doesn't even know where these inspirations come from, but it's like he's channeling this more wise character instead of like the brash hothead, which are fun protagonists to read about too. But it seems like there's a lot of those out there.
I think it's
Yeah.
book 3, I think, where I know you Joel, you haven't gotten to book 3 yet, but I'm pretty sure it's book 3 where that's where we meet like the primordial whale. I believe that was book 3, and they're in the sort of seaside town there. And it's
Book
funny
two, book
that
two.
book 2. Okay, sorry, right. See? Yeah, book 2. That's when that's when I started to notice exactly what Marissa said, when there were certain domineers that all of a sudden were not maybe as they weren't evil, which was I purposefully unclear, I think, in book 1, certainly. Like they were very mysterious and like, you know, I don't think it was on purpose that they were, or that, excuse me, that it was by accident that they were called domineers. So the arch domineer, well, when I hear that, when I read that, I go, well, that I know what that guy sounds like, and he's going to sound like a villain. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and as we get to know some of the other, I don't want to spoil too much, but as we get to know some of the other characters, it was cool that I was like, oh, they're not really. They're just different sides of the same coin in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, they are bad, but in a lot of ways, they are not.
Yeah.
And Dirk does kind of have that power to bring people in. I always thought he was sort of like he's like a country boy, kind of. He doesn't come from a lot. So one of the reasons I gave him the voice that I gave him, so this is a case where Dirk is not just my voice. Dirk has a little bit of a, like a Cockney low class English accent, because that sort of evokes sort of, simple, salt of the earth type stuff, which
Mhm.
is what I thought would work with him. Hopefully it does.
I think it did. Uh,
I don't want to hijack the conversation, but I do have a really quick funny story about Dirk's voice. So on the sample that Rob and I listened to, he didn't have that accent, I believe, or it
It's
wasn't
possible,
nearly
yeah.
as strong. And then when I started listening to book 1, I was like, "What happened?" I was like this, but is like that's his voice now. Like that's the
I seem to remember auditioning for it, perhaps. There was something where we provided a sample, and normally when that's the case and we get the green light, we try not to change anything. And I remember going, it's just not right. Like it just isn't right. And I'm gonna do it. And I don't I think we reached out to our publisher, if my memory serves, and I was like, would this be okay? Do you think this will be a problem? And they said, no, it should be fine. I said, okay, good. Cause I just was like, I think I did a whole chapter. Again, I'm not positive, but I feel like I did a whole chapter with not the accent. And I was like, nope, this is not it. He's got to have it.
Yeah. So we were having a conversation before the show, talking about whenever you're narrating, you want to be able to live in that voice, as opposed to just doing an accent. Um, and so would you say that the Cockney accent is like an easier one for you to like just be able to jump into and live uh,
Yeah.
in?
Yes. Yeah. There's something like 18 different dialects, I think, on the very small island that is England, which is wild to me. And I can
Mhm.
do like 3 competently. And those 3 I can do pretty well. So like I I hear them a lot, and maybe that's it. I'm familiar with them. So Cockney is definitely one. It took a little work, and it's certainly a little more sort of Oliver Twist than like Jason Statham or something. But now it's one that I'm like, yeah, I have that one in my back pocket for sure.
Nice. All right. So talked about characters, talked about world building. Why don't we talk about the fight scenes and the abilities? Because that was another really unique thing that I loved about the series was that Dirk, he doesn't really have a lot of like mind-blowingly strong, powerful abilities, at least to start out with, but eventually I'm assuming he gets a lot more and becomes stronger. But the abilities he does get, he uses them in like very smart ways. So one thing that he gets very early on is like a cling ability, which basically is just him clinging to the wall and going invisible using the shadows. And once he unlocks his weapon, once he like ranks up a tier, he gets this whip pretty much that he can summon. And so there's a scene where he's just free falling out of this tower and he is like, well, shit, I'm like dead. So what he ends up doing is like pulling the whip out and like clinging to the ground to stop his momentum, like right before he would crash, which is a very, very interesting way, a very smart way to use the toolkit that he has. Another really cool thing. Well, so one thing that I found interesting is that a lot of the times in your series, you do like progression very differently. So a lot of the times it's not like, oh, ding, you unlocked a new ability. It's very instinctual, uh, like the way that Dirk learns and the way that the teachers teach. It's very much like, I'm going to put you in this situation and you just listen to your instincts and hopefully you're going to find some way out of it. So do you plan ahead of time? Like, oh, he needs this ability at this point. He like, or is it more of like a pantser where you're just like, I'm gonna throw him in this situation and then decide later, oh, he needs some way to get out of this. This is what I'm gonna have him do.
So I can't really speak to book one really because it's just it was like a year and a half ago when it was written. But definitely moving on from that series, like when I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen in the next book, I do know that he's either got to unlock one or two abilities that are new, or he has to upgrade a current ability or two that to a level that like it's actually noticeable. So yeah, that's definitely a big part of planning. I guess this is kind of tangentially related to your question, but I really like writing the climax or showdowns of stories, like the big finale, and I deliberately don't plan those out too much in detail anymore because I know that when I plant in a new ability, it's gonna get used. It has to get used in that final showdown somehow. Or if he bonds with a new monster, that new monster's got to be critical somehow in dealing with the final showdown. So that's a big part of the process. Like I know that's gonna be the culmination of him showing how he's grown in this current book.
There's also the benefit now of the monsters themselves get stronger, and they add a whole new level to what they're capable of in combat. So like again, I'm always gonna revert back to what it meant as the voice actor. But V, for a long time, he didn't speak. And then at the end of book 1, he started speaking. I was like, oh, great. This is great. And he's described as this little shadow bat creature. And so the voice that I started with, I was like, I wonder how this is going to sound when he gets bigger and stronger. And should it be something that I should evolve his voice to? And I was like, absolutely not. I had to keep it as ridiculous as I came up with it. And now, like, you know, he's this by book 4, he's bigger and stronger and capable of all this stuff. But he still sounds kind of like this because it's just why not? It's just crazy enough to work.
Yeah. It very much gave me like Bartok vibes. I don't know if
Bartok.
you've ever seen or know like Bartok from like Anastasia.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was that was Hank Azaria, I think, did the voice for that. I'm pretty sure. It's been so long since I've seen
I'm
that
terrible
movie.
with names. I wouldn't.
I'm pretty sure he did. And he's amazing. He's like one of the greatest voice actors ever. So thank you.
No, I definitely loved the voice for V.
Well, so I have a quick question if I could interrupt the
Go ahead.
podcast. So in book 4, like without spoiling anything, I started to let some of Dirk's other monsters have a speaking role. Like they don't actually speak with words, but some of his monsters vocalize like with like quotation marks, like as dialogue. But I really liked how Alex and Marissa like verbalized the monster sounds. So I was just wondering if they could talk a little bit about their process for that, or how they leaned into like monster sounds or animal sounds instead of human voices.
I know that when the first primordial beast that we met, again, I thought these voices, and I kind of keep it the same throughout the books when we meet a new primordial monster, that it should be imposing and like, you know, rumbly if I have it in my voice that day, you know, but big and sort of not exactly ethereal, but like there should be a presence, and I try to keep them kind of calm now. The first one was not. The first one was a lion, and he was growly and gravelly because it's a lion, and it's but as we met different animals that had different qualities, some were gentler than others, and I loved that. So rather than focus on like, I don't know, what is a whale gonna sound like? I'm not gonna do it like a woo and all the crazy whale noises or something like that. People would hate that.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Right. So I thought I like sticking with the idea of sort of big primordial sounds. And V, like I said, V was just, well, the truth is the voice that comes to mind when I think of a bat is something a little stereotypical, like Dracula, an Eastern European accent. But I knew that I could make up my own accent for V. It, like, who knows how a shadow bat talks. So when I took the pressure off of that one, I went, well, this is now, I can do whatever I like and have so much fun. And the fact that he was little and would sort of speak at first very clipped because he didn't know the language, well, that was informative. And I could, there was always something when I would do, I said, the key to doing a really, really convincing, like Russian accent, if you're in America, is to, you have to think about the words that you want to use, because it makes you sound like you don't know what you're going to say next. So that all went into how I thought V should sound.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't taken on many, if more than one, monster. I think, sorry if my memory serves me correctly, I think it's a bird monster in this past one. And so, you know, everything is coo, like COO is how that creature expresses. And so for the longest time on my actor resume under special whatever skills, I said that I could do excellent pigeon noises. I don't know if they're excellent, but you know, it was like a way to talk about something. And so, I saw a coo. It's not a pigeon, but I was like, let's do some cute little and also there are ways that you can make it more dramatic or inquisitive, because with just a noise, you do have to be able to say what you're feeling. You have to express the feeling. So it was a good, I don't know, avenue to kind of be able to emote through.
So like, I'm trying to think of what series it is. There's a series, it's one of like the healer mage is like the main character. But she has this phoenix companion, and she just talks with like Pri, like Pri. I can't do it, but like that's like what her character says. So she'll be like really angry and just be like,
Yeah,
and just like So no, that's really cool, and now I'm interested, and now I want to read the rest of the series. Dude, there was like so many great books that came out this week, and I'm already like jam-packed. Don't do it, guys. Don't start a podcast and just have to. Well, I'm preaching to the choir here. You guys are narrators. You're just constantly. Do you have time to read, like pleasure read or listen?
plays. We like to read plays because that's an easy way to put ourselves in it as actors. But sorry, I'm speaking. I'm actually going on vacation for the first time in like 6 years next week. And so I'm like, I have a book that a friend gave me for my birthday last year. When she gave it to me, I was like, I get why you gave me this book, because it probably seems like I am a reader. But the truth is, this is what we do so many hours of our week, that kind of the last thing I want to do in my free time is read, and I miss it. But it's so hard for me to stay in a story now if I'm not reading it out loud.
Yeah, and I find myself going, when I'm reading a book for pleasure, which again I can't do anymore really, because I can't help but approach it like I would a book that I was recording. So next thing I know, I'm reading it and I go, how's this character going to sound? I got to be careful because they're this person's brother, and they're like, all of a sudden I forget that I can just read. And also I narrate a lot slower than I read. And now I can't help but read that slowly, even when I'm just reading, not narrating, not reading out loud. And it just kills me. It's no longer something I can lose myself in.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. But like I was saying, there's a bunch of great series that came out this week. So like I don't know if you know of like Rhino Z has this Chrysalis series that he's releasing the new book for. Also Hunter Mythos has Primal Hunter. No, not Primal Hunter. Primal.
Is it Path of the Slayer?
Path of the Slayer. That's what it is. Yes. I don't know where I got Primal from. It's because we're talking about primal beasts. That's why. But yeah, Path of the Slayer book 4 comes out. Also, Skill Eater and Cultivation Nerd, and so many books. On top of that, I have an episode tomorrow with Jared, who does the Long-Winded One podcast. So I'm also reading books for that. And so it's a pretty packed week for me, reading schedule wise. But no, I'm glad that I finally got around to being able to talk about this book, and yeah, just vibing, enjoying it. So a question that I wanted to ask is, so as far as co-writing, what was there aspects that you were in charge of, and aspects that Robert was in charge of? Is like how did that collaboration work?
So it's really kind of an atypical collaboration that we do. So I do all the writing, and then we will talk beforehand about what's going to happen in the story. We did this more so in the beginning. Now it's I'm basically just running with it. But the reason was because about 2 years ago, I was trying to write a lit RPG series,
Mhm.
and I kept starting and stopping because my ideas weren't perfect enough. They weren't. I didn't feel like they were good enough. I was having trouble nailing the mechanics. Like I grew up on video games. I love reading the genre, but when
Mhm.
it comes to actually taking away time from devoting to story and incorporating like the leveling up and numbers, it just kept tricking me up. So Robin was a friend of a friend, and I knew that he co-authored with other authors, and he's been publishing fantasy books for over 10 years. So like I trusted his judgment, and I think it was at a author conference, and he was like, "Hey, we should do a series together. Do you have any ideas for stories?" And I remember saying, "Well, I got a idea. Like, what if you had Pokemon, but the monster tamers also had magic, and they could level up along with their monsters? And what if there was an academy that they went to train?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Why don't you start writing, and I'll take a look at it?" Because I just was doubting myself. I didn't want to start another story and not finish. And he was really helpful in telling me what was working, what wasn't working. Dirk actually wasn't likable at first. I just the way I was trying to get him across, it wasn't working. So
Mhm.
he was really big in helping shape what the first book turned out to be, and gave me the confidence to keep on going, and just being able to have someone to bounce ideas off of is really helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember whenever we were at JordanCon, you were having a little brainstorming session about a different series
Oh
that you
yeah.
were wanting to do. I was curious to see if that is something you're still working on or no.
So
It was
not that idea.
not that idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about, but no, that one's on the back burner for now.
Okay, that sounded really interesting.
Yeah, someday. Maybe
I mean,
next
I'm
year.
I'm the same way. Like I tried writing and I just uh I just get too busy, I guess. I don't know. My brain's all over the place. I yeah. I was messaging Matt before to like whenever we were trying to figure things out for the podcast, and I didn't even realize I like had missed a message. So I saw that he was wanting like the narrator on, but I didn't know which one. So I was like, "Oh, we'll just put Alex on." And then I saw the message like today and was like, "Oh, I need to add another person on." So I like typed up the announcement and like
I can
sent it
leave.
out.
I can leave, Alex.
No, no, you're fine. You're fine. It's nothing against you. My brain is just all over the place. That's how like busy and like hectic things are. Um, but yeah, sorry. I feel like I've just been going on a tangent and talking about how crazy my life is. But why don't we get back to the book? Or I don't know, maybe you had questions. No.
I do have one question that I wanted to pose to the narrator since they're farther in the series. Uh, just about the style of the story. Uh, so I try to write like so writers try to invent their own style, or their style happens naturally. And for me, like I kind of see my stories as being like full of heart, humor, and camaraderie. I don't know if that comes through or not. Like I was reading an Amazon review where it's like this tugged at my heartstrings, and I was like, yes, like I succeeded. But I didn't know if that comes through, because I know as you're actually voicing this, so you probably feel the emotion if it's there or not.
Yeah, I think it does, for sure. Specifically, once we start meeting people's families, like we meet Pax's family, and then in the latest one, we get to meet Teresa's family, and it's always interesting to, when it's well done, to be able to explore these characters outside of the sort of immediate world that you know them from. And parental parental and immediate family relationships are pretty interesting for most people, I think. And so getting to explore what that looks like for a lot of these characters is a lot of fun. And there's a lot of times when we'll get through a scene and again, we do so many of these books that when we get one, and a lot of them are not great. Some of them are wonderful. Some of them are not as thoughtful. I mentioned to you earlier that I thought these books are very thoughtful. And when we have a scene together that is particularly emotional, we'll like hit stop at the end of the chapter and go, "Oh, that felt like acting." Because it's so nice when we get to like really have a good back and forth. And that, of course, is about good dialogue. It is about good story, and it is about thoughtful connections between those characters. And I think you and Robin do that really well.
Yeah, I can say that the relationships that you've written in this series are some of my favorite and most memorable, because Alex and I mean, separately and together, we do a lot of books, and so it's difficult sometimes to if we did book one in a series like 7 months ago and now we're doing book two, we'll have to be like, who again? Remind me, what is going on here? But I've never really had that issue with this series. I just have to know the character names. I go, okay, Dirk and Treese and Jen and Pax. Like that's the big four. And the way that they care for each other, take care of each other, and include each other is really beautiful. I love book 4 because something did happen, and I don't want to be a spoiler, but so I won't. But there is a mother-daughter relationship that evolves in a way that, I mean, Alex and I must have looked at each other several times and gone, this is good. And that is so nice in our job, because like to get to, I mean, we love what we do, but to get to also love what we're reading separate from our job is really, it's really a treat, and it's really a bonus.
Yeah, so often it's never our place to judge whether or not a book is good or what. Like it's just not, that is not for us to say. My experience with a book, narrating it, is going to be different than somebody who wrote it, than somebody who read it. And so when it can permeate those differences, that's what we're talking about, is when we go, despite the fact that that it's work and we have to find these things, when it's good and it feels good between two actors, that's pretty awesome. That's and then it becomes undeniable. And then it's like, no, this is good. This is good. We like this series. This is a good series because we don't have to think about whether or not we like it. There are a few of the series that we do that can do that, but not all of them can. And Monster Tamer Academy does. So we get really excited when we see another one pop up on our schedule.
So that was a question that I wanted to pose to you, is that so I was looking up other series that you guys do. You do a lot of stuff for like Royal Road. I saw a lot of like harem stuff on there. So is that like different than what is this different than what you like normally read, or is it like, and how does that affect I guess your enjoyment of like reading it?
I don't know that it's that different. It's certainly different than Harem. I don't mean that it is not different from that stuff, but we
Is
read a
it
pretty wide
like
swath.
a breath of fresh air of like not doing the normal, or is it like
Yeah, it can feel like that certainly sometimes,
okay.
especially when we've done, when we've done book after book of, genre A, then
Mhm.
we get a book that's genre B and we go, "Oh, right. Yeah. Yes." Um,
I mean, a well-written book is a well-written book, I will
Mhm.
say. Something like progression fantasy is pretty cool. Lit RPG, when I first started getting into it, I was like, are we sure this is right for me? Because I hate to be this like, I was so like, but I'm a girl. And also like, I never read this myself and I don't play video games. And like, these are all things, but like, overall, I'm an actor and I'm a narrator. Um, but something, I mean, we've done Academy books, we've done tons of harem, um, individually, sci-fi, like all sorts of stuff. I would say for me personally, if I'm being totally honest, yeah, getting to do something like Monster Tamer Academy is um, a little bit of a relief and a breath of fresh air because I don't have to embody female characters in the kind of way that I think men want to hear them speaking. I can just be a character and I don't have to worry about how it's coming across necessarily in a specific way without
Mhm.
getting too more detailed. And that's just me being perfectly honest as a woman who voices female characters mostly, as a duet narrator.
Cool. Um, Another question that well, I asked this one before the show, but I was wondering if it was ever weird doing duet narration in like harem.
so what I had said was, Marissa and I have known each other since like 2008, I think. And we've been really good friends basically right from the start. And so the first time we did the first book we did together was Harem,
Mhm.
and the first scene that we got to was probably the first day of recording, but maybe not. Maybe it was the second day. Marissa had done one or two books before I had started, so this was my first, and she had done a couple. And so when we got to our first spicy scene, she goes, "Can we just let's pause for a second?" I said, "Okay." She goes, "Just lean into it. Just lean into it." And all of a sudden I went, "Oh, right. Don't be it's gonna maybe it'll feel awkward, but it doesn't feel awkward to the characters. And this is my best friend that I'm doing this with. I get the privilege of doing this with my best friend. And what more could you ask for in terms of comfort?" So like right after that, never. It was never an issue. Not for me anyway.
So, I mean, same. Like, it's already an interesting way to make a living and interesting words to read. But what's nice about having, it can go both ways, right? You can know the person too well that it's like, I can't do that with you. Or
Mhm.
you can trust that person so much that you're just like, yeah, this isn't a big deal. What it comes down to is we are actors and we're playing roles together, and it's like it's about as simple as that. Yeah, it. I would say that sometimes it's hilarious and it's a fun story to tell, but
Mm.
mostly it just feels like we're doing the job. Yeah.
Cool. That's uh that's awesome. That's awesome for you guys.
We're pretty lucky. We say it all the
Mm.
time. Even amongst our actor friends, who most of us have to have, what we call survival jobs, right? You're a waiter, you're a bartender, you work, retail or catering, whatever. We are very fortunate in that this is what we do. This is our job. When we
Mhm.
get to do theater or film or TV or anything like that, that's also our job, but it's fewer and far between. So the fact that we get to do this every day is never, ever, ever far from our minds. Like I would say about once a week, one of us will look at the other one and go like, man, this is the best job we've ever had. And like, maybe it's a day where it's like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I got a headache. I really don't want to work today. And then I go, yeah, but it's still the best job ever. Like how lucky to be not, there's a quote that's like, how lucky to be tired from doing something you love. I'm butchering it,
Mhm.
but like, I think we both feel that. I'm speaking for both of us now, but I think we both feel that a lot. We both feel very grateful and very, very fortunate to get to do this as often as we do. And with your best buddy. Like, that's the other thing. I can't express that enough to people. Like, I
Oh,
I just never thought it would be so cool. I never thought it would be so great to, like, it sounds good, right? Oh, you'll work with your best friend. That sounds good, but then when you start, you worry that it's gonna change things or be weird. Never. I couldn't imagine doing it with anybody else at this clip. So, like, it is a
Yeah,
real.
I know the inner workings of Alex's brain now in a way that is like, but
Do not.
other than that, it's a perfect job.
Other than that.
all right. So, one question that I always ask narrators when I have them on, because they read so many series, and some of them I'm not familiar with. What is the most underrated series you have done?
That's a really good
What's a
question.
series that you thought would do better but didn't?
I guess again we try not to think about a series doing well or not. We notice it certainly when it does really, really well, but otherwise it's more about the work and can if it's well if it does well enough to keep being written, I suppose, is where it really affects us the most.
Mhm.
That said, um boy, I'm trying to go back like far, far back because there were a couple that I remember wanting there to be a lot more of. So there's a series that comes to mind that I was actually just talking about like today or yesterday, called the Duelist. I think it went
Mhm.
up to like there was a lot of them. There was like 10, 11, something like that. But I found the world building in that series to be some of the better up to that point that we had done. This was years ago. And it was interesting, and there was a lot of political stuff that was handled really entertainingly. And I remember thinking that I hope it really catches on. And while we did enough, I remember thinking that I was hoping that it would have made a bigger splash.
That's a cover. I just added it.
Yeah, it's also that one is also it is harem, but it's sort of uses that to advance the story.
Hmm.
I guess it's difficult because it's been so long since we did it, but the fact that it's not what I take away, I think, from that series is probably speaks to how much I like the other parts of it. But it is built into the culture of the world that they inhabit. And that's not unique. I mean, a lot of stories will be like, "Oh, it's very common here." But this was more about, um, there's like legal ramifications. Again, it's been a while, but it was very cool
Mhm.
and lots of characters. This one also was very far reaching in scope, and there were a lot of characters who came from different lands, and so they would each have
Mhm.
their own culture, and then we would meet their 4 brothers and their mother and sister, and and like that gets challenging in a
Mhm.
good way to an actor, because now we have to keep things sort of solid and on track. I always really liked that one. It was fun.
Cool. Marissa, would you agree with him on that one, or do you have something else in mind? Or
The Duelist was a kind of a tough read for me because it was very Alex heavy. So I know I always enjoyed that series, and but Alex always had more to do in it, so
Mhm.
he was always just a little bit more excited than me.
It's
Um,
true.
I would say that the 2 series that I really like, I don't want to say they're underrated. I just want people to listen to are this one, Monster Tamer Academy, and Battle Bard. I love them both, and they're both, they're both in a genre that I find really cool and fun and rewarding. Yeah,
Yeah, Battle Bard also, it's different enough that like we don't do a lot that has to do, so that's a series also co-written
I
by
also feel
Robin.
like I have to pull up my Audible to see what
Right,
what did
because
I
yeah,
narrate. I don't
you have
even
to really
know.
go back. But that one is an interesting one because it's all about magic through music. And Marissa and I are both singers. I'm a musician, and that one is a lot. Yeah, that's a cool one. And there's 2, I think, that we've done of that one. It isn't very far reaching just yet.
do you
Um,
have do you sing in those ones or what?
a
Yeah.
little bit. We actually, there's one scene in the second book where it's a big battle, and one of the characters is her magic is through her voice. The main character, it's through drums. So when I first read it, I was like, drums? Oh man, I can't do anything with that. But
Mhm.
uh there I wrote some music, we recorded some and put it sort of in the background of this big battle scene as we're talking about them charging in. And I think that one is dual perspective. So Marissa was narrating the female main character in that scene, and it came out pretty cool. So when we get to do stuff like that, it's those are the things that stick in our mind as producers of this stuff, because it's so rare that we get to do that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
so if I could add,
yeah, go
uh,
ahead.
so would you guys appreciate more songs in books? Because I know Monster Tamer 4 had a couple of songs that you guys really knocked out of the park.
It
And I
So
didn't
did.
that
know.
I mean, we kind of, we made that more casual just based on the circumstances, because if I can describe them, like one is a lullaby, which didn't feel like it needed quite as much production.
I
Uh,
I did try. I did write or start writing something for that lullaby, despite like, and challenging to go, well, how do you? She's just singing to somebody. There's no music playing. There's no anything. And I thought I could do it, and the truth is, we just ran out of time. And I thought, yeah, if I had another like 3 days that we could work on it, we would have been able to. But we just, our schedule, especially this year, luckily, very, very packed. So we unfortunately couldn't, despite our really trying. Like I had parts written, and then the day came and I was like, it's just not ready. We can't do it. We just can't,
that
unfortunately.
being
So
said, Matt, yes,
yes,
Alex is a very talented musician. And we both sing. We're both singers. It makes everything so much more memorable and fun for us, really.
we know listeners really like it too. Again, when it's done
Mhm.
well. So yeah, the answer to that question is yeah, go for it.
So how is it writing uh, a song like as the author?
So I really enjoyed it because I actually like did a little bit of not actual songwriting, but like poems or whatever back in the day. Uh, and it's just, I mean, the two that are in book 4, it's like a hiking chant. So it's kind of like four lines, 2 of them like rhyme, then 4 more, then 4 more, then 4 more. And I I don't know if readers catch on or not, but like the lyrics do actually really tie everything together. Like you wouldn't know it at first, but on a reread, like the lyrics actually do kind of have more significance than you might think. And I just thought it was fun. I understand Alex saying like I really wanted to do them good. Both, and the other one was a lullaby, as Marissa said, and it was kind of the same thing. I think it was a little shorter, just four lines, 4 lines, 4 lines. But I really wanted to nail them, but I was on a deadline, and I was like, you can only devote so much time. So I kind of wrote like a rough draft, and then I came back to the songs right before I turned them in. So it's
Cool.
I enjoyed it.
Sounds like everyone just really enjoys writing them and performing them, but the time crunch is everyone's biggest problem with it. Yeah.
It's if you want to do something correctly, it takes time. Sometimes I'll see that there's a song in an upcoming book, and I'll ask the producer, like, "Hey, would it be okay to write music for this?" And the first thing they'll always say is like, "Yeah, but we can't pay you more. So we can't pay you more." And I go, "I know. I'm not asking that. I do it because it's fun, and I know that the listeners really like it." But it's just always funny to me, like, "Well, for how much? How much are we talking?" I go, "No, man. No. I want to."
That's cool. All right. So it looks like we're coming up on our time. I'd like to get any final thoughts out of the way. One thing that I talked about before the show that I haven't talked about yet was I was really confused in book 1 as far as like world scale size wise, because you have a town, like a distant town, sending mail talking about how they can also hear this lion's roaring, and then it's leaving and it's getting closer to the city. And I was like, how big is this lion? Or like, how close is this town? Like, you're hearing like a lion's roar through like, I don't even know. So that was something that confused me, and I didn't know if you wanted to elaborate a little more, or
I mean, it was a really loud roar. So like,
okay,
sound really, and it was a magic roar. So like, magic travels
just
and
hand wave
defies.
magic.
That's the easiest answer.
Yeah.
But I kind of like to say, so one thing about the Monster Tamer Academy series is it's not set at one like physical academy. They do travel to other branches of this academy, and then they come back, and so you will see more of the world as a reader gets through the series, because each one kind of explores and opens up a new part of the region, and
Yeah.
you get to see life in a new capital city or out in the wilds, and yeah.
Because like another thing was like the gauntlet. I was very confused on that because you have them going through like different biomes, and like I was like, how far is this gauntlet? Like,
Yeah, that was kind of like
just
an artificially created
okay.
gauntlet. So that was, uh, if I remember correctly, it's to the north and northeast of the academy, the main academy branch. And there's kind of like a desert region, there's a mountainous region, and I think that's about it. I mean, there's forest to the east. Like I have the map in my head of the main academy.
Okay. Um, But yeah, I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about. Is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about that we didn't get to? No?
Listen to the fourth book. It's out now.
Yeah.
And it's so good, and it gets you right in the feels. It really does.
You guys make it sound so good. I told you before we started that this is just going to be you guys selling me on book 4.
I'm telling you, Treese's parents alone are worth it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to read all the books before, though.
You do.
Yeah,
you do.
You can't just skip the book 4.
All right. So one thing that we like to do on the show is, what have you been reading? And I will go first because I know you guys don't have anything pulled up. So, yes, I have been. Last week I was reading Monster Tamer Academy. With that, tomorrow I'm doing a podcast with Jared, who does the Long Winded One podcast, and I mentioned that before. And we are talking Millennial Mage. Oh, don't start with me. Sorry. Yeah, so Millennial Mage, that's by J.L. Mullins. I am thoroughly enjoying it so far. It has a lot of like really good world development, which is something that I just love as a listener. Also, I just finished the book 1 for Freshman Drive. That is by Xander Boyce and Ryan DeBruin. It's a basketball lit RPG, like progression fantasy series. And I've seen a tennis one that's done by
Ren or
yeah. Jonathan Smith is what her pen name, but yeah, they do a tennis one that I freaking love. I just fell in love with that series, and I really wish he would write more of it. But the basketball series, really good, loving it. Ryan, he used to do like volleyball, and he like tore a knee, and so there's a lot of like insight from the situation that he was going through with that, and he was like put that in the book as it's just something that really interested me, I guess. I always love to like learn new things from like different people's perspectives whenever I'm like reading a new book, just having that insight. Other than that, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I would like to read that I'm just behind on, but I can talk about that when I get to them. So, yeah. Matt, would you like to go next, or Alex, or?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go real quick. So I'm currently rereading Iron Prince. I'm listening to that on audiobook. It's one of my top favorite series. I rarely reread books just because, as Joel's been saying this whole podcast, there's so many books. It's kind of hard to make room for the favorites. And then I'm actually reading Stumbling Up. I just started that, so I'm excited to read that.
Yeah, we had I had Well on last week, so
I can say that there's a series that I've been narrating only the first 2 books of. It's science fiction. Excuse me. It's I think the second book is out. Well, there's 2. So there's a sort of horror comedy kind of fantasy series that I've just started to narrate that I really like because again it's a little different. And that is called Strangely Scary Funny by Brian Yansky, and it's like season 2, So the first season, like 13 books, was recorded by someone else, and Brian asked me to take over, and I had never done that before, and it was interesting. But the books are really good; they're very funny, and again, I get to some of the characters I get to cut loose a little bit, so I like that. But the sci-fi book that I was reading, narrating for, two of them, called Full Throttle Savage, by Jonathan Yanez, and it got me right away. It was like incredibly heartfelt. The book one, certainly, and I was like, it's short, as compared to a lot of the books that I do, and I was like, no, there's more of it, please, more. So like, all right, well, you can do the second book, and now you got to wait for us to write the third one. But those are two series that I'm like really excited about because they're new and different. I don't do a lot of strictly sci-fi anymore. And I don't do a lot of horror humor, so I'm enjoying those a lot.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see people do horror and progression fantasy because you have like, is it progression fantasy?
No, I would say it's
No,
not
okay.
really. This is it's to even call it horror is not even really. It's fantasy, but humor is, it's funny for sure.
Okay, cool. Melissa, I assume you're working on the same thing.
As
What's
Alex?
the book you were
No.
wanting to take on vacation?
Shoot. Crap. I don't know. I something. I don't know. I think that it's a thriller. I don't remember the title, which is terrible. I know. But if I were to talk about something like Alex just did, I also am narrating a solo series, the second book, called Magical Girl Mechanical Heart by Thundermoo, Natalie Maher, and it's really interesting. It's something I've never done before. It's also very difficult because I have to narrate from the perspective of three different people, two of whom are in the body of one person. And there's a lot of themes of LGBTQ, neurodivergence. Obviously, it's called Magical Girl Mechanical Heart, so it's a lot of it's very female driven, and all of these girls have power. I described it to somebody and they said that it kind of sounded like the Powerpuff Girls, but it's a little young adult, but it's adult enough that I wouldn't recommend it for kids necessarily, maybe teenagers, but people who feel othered a lot tend to gravitate towards it, and it kind of makes people feel seen in a way that is, as an artist, that's cool for me because that's what you want.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, I think. Well, why don't we talk about where people can find you? I'll go first. Obviously, the podcast, Correction Fantasy Podcast. We also have a Discord. It's in the link. And come hang out. Come tell me what you're reading. Come tell me what you want me to do a show on, who you want to have on to ask questions about. And yeah, Matt, you can take it away.
Yeah, so the best place to find me is actually by joining my email list. When you sign up, you get a free Monster Tamer Academy prequel story. You also get a free update, or not free, emails are free. You get an update at the end of each month that saying what I'm working on, if I did anything cool, like being on a podcast. And then also, I do like quick sketches of either characters, creatures, or places from the books I'm working on. So I'll usually put a few of those up on each email, just as a insider look at what authors do. And you can sign up on my website, matthermannbooks.com, which I also keep updated with what I'm working on in case you need to look at it or find out what I'm doing.
Sounds cool. Alex, would you like to?
Best place is also my website, I would say, alexperone.com. I have a lot of different links there for sure. Videos, samples of other books that I've done. Instagram is another good one. I don't post a lot of narration stuff on my Instagram, but I post a lot of my other artistic things, music. I draw a lot. So it's Toons, Toons by Alex, if you're so inclined. But yeah, those are probably the two best places.
Cool. Melissa?
You can find me on Instagram. My handle is catladylately. If you want to keep up with my cats, or I post some narration samples, or share, new releases, some, self tapes of me auditioning for things in the theatrical world, little performances. If you want to see me in a ridiculous costume for How the Grinch Stole Christmas, I've got a bunch of those up there. And my website, www.marissaparness.com. You can send me a message there. Check out what I'm doing.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for being awesome guests and coming on and making time to talk about amazing books. And thank you, audience, for showing up. And on that note, see ya.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, all.